Hello and welcome back to Buckle Up. I'm Harry King and this is the Jeep Avenger. It's actually the cheapest vehicle that Jeep sell in the UK. So should you buy one? As usual, we're going to start with the styling, which I think is strong on this vehicle. Obviously, you've got Jeep's traditional 7-bar grille, but not just here. In all various places around the car, they've put a little 7-bar grille motif, which is lovely. Overall, you've got a really strong, square-jawed, off-roady look. And then down the side, I think there's two things you notice immediately. One, a surprisingly low roofline, but then two, a surprisingly high ride height. This actually has 200 millimeters of ground clearance, which Jeep claim is class-leading in this segment. You've got 18-inch alloy wheels. They look very chunky. Some more of your 7-bar grills there. Big Avenger badge on the sides. I've got a bi-coloured roof on this apparently, though the bi-coloured bit's just here and then this is body coloured, I think, because I have the glass roof. Weird choice. You've got door handles up here on the rear doors to give you a kind of coupe look. This is a dog. And then round here at the back, we have these rather handsome rear lights with this X pattern in them. I've got an E badge here on the boot lid. That's because this is a mild hybrid. And then if I open up the boot, again, another large Jeep badge here on the tailgate. We're greeted by 355 litres of space, give or take. I think that's actually the measurement for the electric model. They haven't given me a spec sheet for this car. I've got a false floor with some space underneath it, a tyre inflation kit. There's then another false floor with a polystyrene tray underneath that, if you want to really hide stuff in the depths of your boots. Otherwise, there's a couple of curry hooks, but not much else going on here. It does have a nice continuous load floor though, and the seats do fold 60-40, which is lovely. Speaking of those seats, let's go and look at them now. Okay, so I'm not actually going to get into these back seats. I'll simply tell you there is not enough space behind my driving position for a full-grown adult. I don't think it's humane to put a full-grown adult in the back of this car. I do think it's perfectly good though for your dogs, which you might have if you like Jeeps and a lifestyle. So here we'll find two dogs in a dog carrier, dog bed, having a lovely time. Look at Zorro. Look how happy she is. What a happy little pupper. Also on this interior, you've got Isofix, although it's quite hard to get a child seat in because of the low roofline and the doors don't open super wide. Those doors also don't have any door pockets. You do get a USB-C at the front and you do get seat back pockets, but not a huge amount of practicality in here otherwise. There's also not a huge amount of headroom. Let's see though how it is in the front. Weirdly, there's not that much headroom in the front either. I am actually brushing against the ceiling with my hair only, but I'm only 5'11" or 180 centimetres, so taller drivers be warned. There's also, climbing in and out, a weirdly high lip to the sill. That's the same in the back, and because the footroom is so tight, it can be a real struggle to get in and out. Let's move on to some positives though. So this is a top spec model with everything ticked, 34 grand basically on the nose. I've got JBL speakers up here. I've got a 10.25 inch touchscreen display with nav integrated. Stellantis products maybe aren't doing the greatest things at the moment with electronic reliability. During the course of the week, this has recommended that we should take it to a service centre. That warning has then gone away by itself. You may notice also I am missing the lid here for this tray. There should be like a folding iPad cover style lid, and there should be something on the ceiling up here that's fallen off. This vehicle has 1,400 miles, so I'm not certain how well this would hold up over the course of your ownership. Back onto positives though. The steering wheels are lovely, quite small. Everyone's commented on how small it is, but you've got radar cruise control, volume controls. You've got a proper rotary volume dial here, although irritatingly, if you're like Jasper, the power button on it does rotate round. So if it's not left in just the right place, you will be consumed by anger. I've got a row of shortcut buttons to do various climate things, and I can control the temperature and the fan speed outside of the screen. But for the heated seats, which this does have, I have to go into the screen, into the climate menu, into the seat control functions, and then I can control the heated seats. or you can have it shortcutted on your home screen, but neither of those things are convenient if you use your Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, which is wireless in here. I do still have a USB-A, a USB-C, and a 12-volt socket here in the centre, as well as a wireless Qi charger. There's a huge amount of room and storage here, so there's storage behind that space as well. There's also cup holders, which are movable. You also have a movable armrest if you want to get access to more of that. You have a glove box, although it is somewhat cut in half by the fuse box. There's still a surprising amount of room, and a little shelf where you can keep your business cards if you're an important businessman. I've got a sunroof, as I alluded to, on the outside, but I think for everything else, let's discuss it on the drive. Okay, let's go for a drive in the Jeep Avenger mild hybrid. We've got dog cam back here so you can see how Zara and Milo are finding everything, and then of course you're with me here so I can tell you all about the drive. Let's start with some basic figures. So this is a 1.2 litre engine making 100 horsepower, 205 newton meters of torque, 0 to 62 in 10.9 seconds. That's achieved through front wheel drive and an 8-speed dual clutch gearbox, although you wouldn't necessarily think it was a dual clutch from driving it. It feels quite like a conventional auto. It kind of slushes the changes through in a very smooth way, but obviously it doesn't have that kind of instant change that we associate with DCTs. If you put it in sport, you can make it change quite quickly if you want to, but I don't feel the need. This isn't a sporty vehicle, let's get that clear right away. The ride is very soft, a little wallowy. Obviously you've heard the acceleration figures are nothing to write home about, and everything is very comfortable. This seat in this top spec level with all the options ticked, this is actually an electric massaging seat. Very, very comfortable. I might turn that on actually. The button is down there, it's a little fiddly. And I've got soft touch under my arms, and I've got a nice soft steering wheel, but there are bits of this car that don't quite add up. So there's this really hard plastic on the dashboard that looks quite cheap. The soft touch on the doors, while it's soft touch, they seem to have gone to great lengths to make it look like industrial rubber. I don't know if they're going for utilitarian. Maybe everything in here looks very chunky. There's definitely the same style running through the interior, and there's lots of Jeep badging everywhere. But as I'm sitting in here, this is 34 grand. And I think at that price point, you're paying for the exterior styling, but the interior quality and fit and finish doesn't seem to be there. I've also, the leather on the steering wheel is detaching slightly, along with that being, that being missing is, it's detachable, things go missing. But I don't know what's missing from the roof. That seems odd. The fact it's thrown a couple of electronic hissy fits this week. I'm definitely so on build quality here. But in terms of the actual drive, if you remove yourself from that and you accept that this isn't a sporty vehicle, I think this drives quite nicely. Now, my colleagues don't like this because, well, I think ultimately what you'd find is if you got into this from a larger Jeep product, you'd find that it drives like a Jeep, which I think is fine for something with a Jeep badge on it. But what that means is it's kind of almost lumbering, I think would be the right word. It feels hefty. It feels quite numb and light on the steering. The brake pedal, again, is a very, very relaxed input. The brakes don't really come on strong until you're more than halfway through the pedal travel. The brakes are fine, but the brake pedal feels like you're in a great big heavy SUV. And I think that's so committed, passionate Jeep owners can move into a smaller vehicle and enjoy the usual touch points of the car. But if you're thinking about this as just a small crossover, what it makes it feel like is it's been very lazily put together. But we know that other vehicles on this platform are capable of having good steering feel, like engaging steering feel, and a solid brake feel, and all of those things, because the Peugeot has it, the Vauxhall has it. So this has to have been engineered in. And I think that's why it feels like a Jeep. And it really does. My problem with that is, at the moment, It's only front wheel drive. There's an electric version of this, there's this hybrid, or a petrol version, pure petrol version. So you really, you can go with your tastes. But while there's only front wheel drive going on, I feel like, you can very well copy something, but if it's not capable in the same way, then it is just a copy. It's not the real McCoy, as it were. And I don't want that to detract from the fact, if you're interested in this, you love the way it looks, I don't think you'll have a problem with the way it drives, as long as you're expecting it to drive like a Jeep. If you're in another small crossover at the moment, you might be surprised by how this feels. But I think once that's taken into consideration, it's absolutely fine. I do think with the starter generator that this has on its mild hybrid, it does feel surprisingly urgent for a vehicle with only 100 horsepower and a near 11-second 0 to 60 time. This actually feels quite nippy if you're driving through the city. Also, the steering being really, really light would be lovely. You've got big chunky tyres, so you don't have to worry about curbs. There are upsides, and the height clearance as well, actually. You don't have to worry about speed bumps or rough roads. That's all fine. It's all grand, actually. It's also very nicely controlled under acceleration. There's no torque steer or anything like that. I do think this would be very comfortable to do a long journey in, and you do have the radar cruise and the auto steer. That's all on this. So you get all the tech you want. I don't think this is badly spec'd for the money. I think the interior could be a little bit nicer, as I've said, but otherwise, I think, you've got kind of everything you'd expect to have. They're making a plug-in hybrid, but what the plug-in hybrid is facilitating is a driven rear axle, proper four-wheel drive, and enhanced off-road ability. Now, I should say that Jeep have still gone to the effort of giving this terrain response, like advanced traction systems, even though it's only front-wheel drive, and they claim that it will go further off-road than you would expect. Now, I would be delighted to test that to some extent, but we don't have a tow recovery vehicle here on Buckle Up, and when this gets stuck, you can't put it into 4 low or anything. That's kind of my problem, is maybe they're right, but I don't want to end up stranded in a field when I have finally found whatever does defeat it. But I think they've put good approach and departure and breakover angles on this. They've put decent ground clearance in. So at a time where the all-wheel drive one becomes available, I will be very interested, and I will want to review it straight away, because I feel like everything is here and everything is ready for this to be a properly exciting little car and a proper baby Jeep. And the main thing that's holding me back is the fact it's front-wheel drive. I'm waiting for the plug-in hybrid, but if you really want a little baby Jeep and you want to get onto the Jeep ladder, as it were, this is a great starting point. I'll stop myself from going any further, though. Let's go back and do a proper conclusion. What I think is that if you've clicked on this video because you're interested in this car, you should go and buy it. If you want a small Jeep, a baby Jeep, that's exactly what this is. Now, we'll caveat that with things I've mentioned in the video. The build quality, I am somewhat concerned about. Going with your eyes open. You will not fit 4 adults in this comfortably. If you're very tall, you will have to yogi yourself into the driver's seat. Is this the best car in class? No, because it's not trying to be. It's trying to be a Jeep. If you want something that handles, go and look at a Puma. This is a miniaturized Jeep SUV. That's all it's trying to be. The styling's fantastic. I love the look. It's very comfortable. Go check it out if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. If you go down into the description, you'll find all the links to all our social medias. You'll also find 2 ways that you can support the channel. So we have channel memberships right here on YouTube, and we have channel merchandise, which you can buy and cover your body with. So please go and do one or all of those things, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.